Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Waters Above, wishing you all an incredible start to your week. In today's video, we're going to be recapping the past week in the crypto market and the setup for this week as we're getting closer to this month's solar eclipse, an important time for the market that we've been keeping track of here on this channel for an entire year. Definitely expecting volatility later this month, and I'll be covering all of that in today's video. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria Numerology and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. And make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious beings to help grow our community. And for those of you who are interested in learning how to decode using Gematria and would like to develop the skills so that you can read the charts on your own, combining Gematria with technical analysis, or if you're seeking coaching for expanding consciousness, you can visit my website watersabove.com and check out my crypto mastermind or my new expansion mastermind courses available now. The link will be in the description box of this video and in the pinned comment below. And with that being said, let's take the clear pill. So one thing I wanted to start this video off with, because I've been getting a lot of questions about it, are these two videos right here. One is a video I did about 7 months ago called Bitcoin, XRP, and Super Bowl Decoded Super Bowl 56. And this video right here, Bitcoin and Metaverse Decode, which, believe it or not, was one of my lowest view count videos. And it's really interesting because this video and this video do go hand in hand. It was talking about the year of the tiger and the importance behind the symbolism of the tiger tied to Jupiter and the metaverse and everything that was going on in the world stage around then, such as the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And I believe that if you go back and watch those two videos, you're going to get an immense amount of value that will help the newer people to my channel especially. So anyone who's joined in the last 5 months or so, or even if you're joining today, welcome to the Wolf Pack. We're so glad to have you here. But you might have a lot of questions about my work and you're wondering about all these connections and everything with the Shemitah and the Jubilee. And I believe if you went back and watched that video and that video, you're going to get a ton of value. And recently I just did a Red Pill podcast over on my Patreon at patreon.com/watersabove. And it was Red Pill podcast number 80. I covered about 5 different altcoins in that episode. It was jam-packed full of value. So if you're interested in my behind the scenes content and you would like to get access to my weekly podcast, you can become a member of my mastermind community over there on Patreon. And I was talking specifically about these two videos and about metaverse and a connection that we had into today's date numerology. So today being the 10th, let me just show you that really quickly. Today is 10/10, and we saw this connection here with the 8, and that 8 coming back to another significant date that we have, which is very, very soon. We've been talking about this whole year, and this is the upcoming solar eclipse. So you can see that the span of days between October 10th and October 25th is 15 days, and that 15 comes back to Tiger in Gematria. You could see that right there with the 15, as well as this 8 symbolism in the date numerology. And this whole year, we haven't had many single-digit date numerology when we're just doing the standard form of date numerology. So that 8, again, coming back to the symbolism of metaverse. And I remember when I was decoding this about 8 months ago, and it was just amazing to watch that transition of Facebook into Meta and then all of those events on the world stage play out. And remember, we had this Facebook or Meta commercial, and that Meta commercial where you saw the tiger actually biting the ox. And remember, last lunar year was the year of the ox, and this lunar year in the Chinese system is the year of the tiger. So this is really important stuff, guys, and I believe if you're newer or you'd like to know more about decoding and more about the method to my madness over here, I believe these two videos that I just shared with you would be incredibly helpful. So anyways, moving on, yesterday was actually the full moon. So we know we've had a lot of energy in this market over the past 3 or 4 days. We had Friday's market close, lots of volatility, and today we're definitely seeing some action. But beyond today, we have today being beyond yesterday, today we have a very important date numerology being the 10-10-222 or the 1-1 222. So that's definitely significant. And like I shared, we have that connection of a 15-day span leading into the upcoming solar eclipse. So it's right here. You can see a partial solar eclipse on October 25th. Not as important, in my opinion, as this lunar eclipse, but I'm considering from this October eclipse until the lunar eclipse to be the time frame to really, really be focused on the market. So the way that I'm going to look at this a little more esoterically, because everything this year has to do with the number 2. We're in the 222 year, and the Shemitah year was in the 5782 Hebrew year, which is the 22. This is making me think that 2 days before the solar eclipse, or the 23rd of October, until 2 days after the November eclipse, even as far out as like November 13th-ish, that's going to be a big window of energy for the market as a whole. So take note on what I just said. I will be making more content soon regarding that. And I do believe I'll have a new Patreon video coming out very soon. I'm hoping by the end of the week regarding the Great Depression. And it's going to be a little bit of a, revisiting that time frame of 1929. And remember, we had a Shemitah in 1930. So this was one of those scenarios where we actually had a market sell-off that was really dramatic into a Shemitah year. And then that whole entire year moving forward was, pretty much recession, depression-like era. Everyone knows about this if you're in finances. So there's no need to get into the exoteric stuff. I'm here to bring you the esoteric stuff. So getting back to the date numerologies, I just want to skip to the 2 dates that I believe are going to be important. We have the 15th of October, and I probably already covered this, but the significance about this date is the 77 days left in the year. And then we have October 25th, the actual date of the upcoming solar eclipse. We'll have a 77 date numerology, as well as Rosh Hashanah, the last day of the Shemitah, had a 77 date numerology. So this is really important stuff, and I'd definitely be paying attention to any time you see these 77. So October 15th is the day, leaving 77 days left in the year. Moving forward to the 16th, this is definitely going to be something important, because if we connect this to the 7th of November, which is the date of the upcoming lunar eclipse, the first day of that eclipse, you're going to see it gives me a span of 22 days, and it also obviously is 76 days left in the year, and this gives me a connection back to Ripple. Ripple equals 76 in Gematria, and then when we see this 14 standard date numerology and the 22, so just remember the number 14 and 22, that comes back to XRP. You have that 14 in reverse full reduction, and in full reduction the 22. And what's so important about XRP with this 22-23 connection is the Hebrew year of the 5782 transitioned into the 5783, which is what we're in now, and that 23 being tied back to Jubilee. And, we've given out so many breakdowns on this number 23 and the significance of it, but it's the 9th prime number. It's the last number in the sequence, meaning the next Shemitah is the one that I believe you'll see a fall of empires. And that's where my work gets a little bit, I guess, even more different than the standard financial channels and the people on Kitco and mainstream media. A lot of people think we're moving into a recession now, especially when they bring up the United States of America, and I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think we're going to continue to see fiat collapse in the rest of the world and a strengthening of the dollar. Remember, the USD is essentially the cleanest dirty laundry. And this is a projection that I gave a year and a half ago. So anyone who's been following my work for a while, any OG wolves in the wolf pack, this is how I felt. So now that we're coming to this place now, where we're seeing record lows in the British pound and Canadian dollar getting slammed, as well as the euro, that analysis was spot on, and it was all centered around the end of the Shemitah. So couldn't be any more perfect than that, right? Now, I told everyone the mechanism why the USD would be so strong as well. I told everyone because it would be the failure of the other currencies, and people just move into the dollar. It's the safest in this regard. Now, because I'm aware of Gematria Numerology, I believe that because we're in that 23 Hebrew year, 5783, which is the 9th prime number, I am looking at the next Shemitah to be the one where America starts to have some issues, but that's a full 7 years from now, guys. So that would be 2029. And now that 2029 gives you a 100-year cycle since 1929, the Great Depression. Right? It's like people are disregarding the cycles and the cyclical nature of this market. And that's what's making a lot of these mainstream analysts drop the ball so often, because they don't see the bigger picture. They're unaware of the Hebrew calendar's influence and the Shemitah and the Jubilee and all these other things that we talk about every time we make content on this channel. So that's what's kind of motivated me to making a video about the Great Depression and where I'm looking at everything. But I've already given out tons of information about how I saw this playing out with the idea of recession. And I know that China's in a recession. We're going to see recession in Great Britain and Europe for sure. Europe's already in a recession. Canada's in a recession, but America is not. Okay, and this was something that I was trying to let people know. And it's not because I have any bias here. I'm a technical analyst and I'm looking at things holistically, globally. I'm even using different calendar systems. All right, so there's no bias here. It's just me looking at everything in the big picture and trying to figure out what would be the best for not only me, but for the people who resonate with my work. We can't have emotions in this game, guys. We have to look at things with a clear sight. So moving on, that 16-date connection with the 22, anytime we're seeing those 22s, it matters a lot because we just transitioned out of that Shemitah year, the 5782, which is the 22 connection. And this is another thing that I've been talking about as well. I brought it up in my last Red Pill podcast, but it's the connection of the 17th of October to November 17th. Now, this is an amazing find that I came across in my last video, sort of by mistake, but look at this. So we have the date being the 10/17, which in the rules of numerology, you remove that 0. So you have the 117. And then here you have the 117 or the 711. And remember, Bitcoin equals 117 in reverse ordinal. And also Bitcoin equals 23, which is so key, especially because it's in the Chaldean cipher, as well as BTC equaling 9 in the Chaldean, which again, 23 is the 9th prime. So this is telling me even more Bitcoin is king. It's going to be the solar system of this economy moving forward. There's nothing that can make me change my stance on that. I've been very pure in that stance for over 2 years now, and we've seen the whole market come to fruition accordingly. Whilst Bitcoin's corrected 70%, we've seen altcoins correct 95%, and that's been the overall like kind of vision. And I think these cycles are going to continue to play themselves out. The difference about this cycle from prior cycles is we're going to see a washout of altcoins, a very, very serious one, because we have way too many altcoins that are useless. So moving on, this 117 connection is amazing because it ties to 21 days. And then if you take the same date and you go back to the date of Rosh Hashanah, the last day of the Shemitah, that is also 21 days. So it is 21 days since the Shemitah ended, and 21 days after this date is the date of that important eclipse, which matches it perfectly numerologically with 117, 117, 222, 222, with 21 days apart. That 21 comes back to Saturn. As we all know, we've been tracking this entire year. We were in the year of Saturn. Now, this is amazing because this date numerology specifically is a 69. All right. And that 69 comes back to Saturn. And we've been talking about this number 69 all year. Remember, Bitcoin's all-time high is 69,000. Bitcoin has 21 million coins in supply. It was created by Satoshi. Saturn. It's all about this theme of the number 21. And the fact that we hit that all-time high of that 69 on the date of November 10th, which again was the 111 date. You can't make this shit up. It was actually this exact date here, the 1/1/2021, and you see it was 314th day of the year, the pi number 3.14, full circle. Also an 8-date numerology, which comes back to that 8 that I was talking to you guys about earlier, like that transition into the metaverse, which is everything to do with transhumanism, and you guys get the picture. So moving on, last thing to say about the 17th of this month is it being the actual 42nd week of the year. So 1017 is in the 42nd week of this year. And remember, Saturn equals 42. So I just gave you so many connections between Bitcoin, Saturn, and these numbers all tied together, telling me that the 17th is a pretty interesting date. Let me look at the connection to, okay, and look, it's 8 days between the upcoming solar eclipse. It's just amazing. Any way you cut this, this is a pivot date, 21 days after the end of the Shemitah, and 21 days after this date is the lunar eclipse. Absolutely amazing. So let's get into some of the technical analysis. And this is something that I found that I wanted to show you guys. So I've been rarely looking at the charts in linear scale. But if you were to actually look at what's going on here, I have the chart in linear right now and pretty much a perfect trend line. Also, I have it set with area, so it is not candles, meaning you're not going to see any wicks. These are just the daily closes. And you see we're on perfect resistance up until this time frame right here. If I turn candles on, you can see kind of what's happening. It's within reason, almost identical as well. So something is really amazing here, how we are getting these perfect, let me show you these perfect rejections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rejections in a row. But then when we zoom out and we look at this trend line, now we kind of have some rhyme and reason for it. So this is why I like to play around with the difference between log and linear scale, because you can get some interesting data looking at it in both formats. So I hope you guys enjoyed just that chart right there, because it's telling me a story, and I believe it's something we all need to pay attention to. So moving on to this chart we've been looking at quite often, this Bitcoin chart. Okay, so I'm just going to share the upside and the downside levels because there's not too much to talk about. Bitcoin is ranging. It's been very boring week after week after week. And I mean, honestly, it's been in a horizontal range now going on over 100 days. Oh, actually, let's take from this big dramatic crash date and see where we are. 119 days. 9/11. Okay, that's interesting as well. But anyways, moving on. This is something that's showing me that we could be having a sort of reverse flag. I believe I might have at least one chart showing this idea. So what some people would call a bull flag, right? Now, this is a really steep move, so I wouldn't be considering this myself, but I do like this trend line right here because it's showing me the resistances, meaning if we were to actually pop above this resistance, start closing dailies, back test the outside, and then make a new high in the structure, that would tell me we can move into the 236 around 24K. Until then, I wouldn't get excited because this market isn't in that time frame where it's really getting close to that November eclipse. And, you know, here we have these 3 confirmed touch points with a break. That's, you know, that's definitely what you expect when you're analyzing on trend, and then having all of these daily rejections right at that level, coming back up, getting rejected again off of it, and now we're in this new pattern. So this could turn out to be a huge W, but it would take a lot of volume, and this market is volumeless at this time. One good thing to say, though, is even with the stock market like peeling down and really doing poor, the crypto market's kind of fine. XRP is holding up really well. ETH is holding its levels really well. Bitcoin has been holding support, but the stock market is not looking nearly as good. So it's interesting. It's almost as if crypto has already given back most of its gains, whilst we're seeing the stock market just preparing to give back or take one more leg down, is really what I should say. So as for upside, we have around 20,300. Closing dailies above that level on the horizontal perspective would be fantastic, and I think that would be in alignment with that descending resistance that I showed you before. And then we would have potential move up into that 22.5 area, but it's really just showing me that we're in a boring market. We got a little bit of like a reverse firmament arc thing going on down here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Could go over here to the arc. If I could find it. I don't want to waste too much time on this analysis because there's more important things to get to. Okay, never mind. It's quite unimportant, but it's just an arc right here. You can see. So that could be something that turns into a cup and handle. For those of you that are aware of that form of technical analysis, we have this cup forming. And then about when we start to get to the neckline, we make a little bit of a handle and then pop out and then have a completion of the pattern of the measured move. So you could actually consider the true neckline around here, but if you wanted to look at it in a more micro perspective, it would actually be around here, something like this. And that would also look very similar to the W breakout idea. And that would take you into 28. And that's probably going to take some time to develop. Maybe even into the end of the year, we could actually see Bitcoin recover into those levels, but it would most likely need another leg down first. And if people think that's weird, that's absolutely not weird. Like when we make these drops, we have really dramatic spikes back, and that's called an automatic rally or automatic reaction or automatic rally, depending on the form of analysis, form of Wyckoff lingo you like to use. So getting into Ethereum, we have this chart looks really ugly. It's really starting to look quite ugly. So I'm just going to keep it nice and simple for you guys. We have about 1500 is the key level. So getting back above that 1500 level would break through this resistance line as well. And I believe that would take us to about 17. And if you look, that would extend us out like this. And it looks like we're in a big bear flag. Like, no, this is really weird. I mean, this is like a head and shoulders play that might have actually played out. And now we're just catching support on this trend line that I have on the bottom. Again, I don't like using this many lines, but because we're in crypto and we're at this stage of the market, moving averages are not working as well as they used to. So it's really about using fibs right now and trying to just detect some trend lines the best we can. So holding support on this level would be ideal, but once we start to close dailies below this close right here on the 21st of September, we're probably going to make another leg lower into about 1,000. That's how steep I think we could fall in the next round down. About 1,000 on the outside of this firmament, and this firmament dome has been perfect. So that goes back to the all-time high on ETH, all these rejections here, rejection there, support, support, support. I would not be surprised if we did make another leg down that we came down into these levels, and that would be in alignment with all of these wicks down here. Not weird at all. And we know in the last bull run to bear market cycle, Ethereum lost 95% of its value, and thus far, Ethereum has only lost 81% of its value, so it could definitely take another leg down. And our time frame for that would be around the November eclipse. In the meantime, getting shot back up to this area for one small relief rally and a higher low totally would make sense before keeling over. That would make sense actually into the end of this month with the solar eclipse, having a solar energy being a more bullish energy, and then the lunar energy being the more like of a reset energy. So this is what most people want to hear about, actually XRP, so we're speeding on through to it. We had our W play here. I'm going to look at this in linear. We had our W breakout, which is pretty clear. I talked about this with you guys far in advance. And in my last couple YouTube videos, I talked about a 58-cent target for XRP. The reason for the 58 is just XRP equals 58, but there's so much more on the technical side of that as well. But you had your W here. And this is a textbook W because your first V actually went lower than the second V. That's how you would trade that. And then here you have your neckline. It should technically be right here at this closure area. Again, we're working with an altcoin, so this is very volatile. But you had your back test on this candle of October 7th, and now you're ready to continue your move. And I would just take from this wick of the neckline down to this wick here, and it's going to give you everything from the neckline itself up somewhere around 58 cents. Perfect. So that would be a very compelling move to the upside, and then anything higher than that, I think 61 cents is your next target, and I'm sticking to that on XRP. I would not be surprised if XRP shot up to 61 and then maybe rolled over and came back to like 40 cents maybe, tested that, and we'll see where things go from there. But this is a pretty clear line. You could see it tried. After it broke support here, it held on this level, broke down, resistance, 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 more resistance, and then finally when we got back over it, it was clear that 40 cents was a very important number for XRP, and I believe Ripple equals 40 in Gematria. Would you look at that? You guys know the craft by now. You know the truth by now. It's all Gematria. So we had this structure, and that would tell me if we were to break higher, let's just say we got to the 51 wick to 61, and then not 51, excuse me. We shot up to 58, maybe wicked up to 61, 62, then came back down to this level, and we see how we react. We could easily have a spring though. So don't be, surprised. And we'll cover that when that time comes. But I'm going to leave it at that because right now we're in the midst of the breakout in XRP, so it's more likely for continuation up to that like 55 cents, 58 cents, and wicks up to 61 cents. And then what would invalidate this is actually closures below that neckline that I showed you before. So if we started to close below like 48 cents, that would bring me down to this level right here around 44. Okay. So closures, daily closes below 48. You come down to 44. And if we continue holding new closure or green candles on the upside, or even just remain in the candle structure where our red candles are above the closure lows or the opening lows of the prior candle, meaning no bearish engulfing candles on the way, then we're perfectly fine. This is just continuation, and it's another day in the matrix. XRP is just catching up to everything else. It's very suppressed, and believe it or not, this is not that dramatic. So far, XRP from wick to wick is only up 94% from that bottom. And if we were to look at the measure move from ETH on that move here up to this top of that date of October 15th, that was 128%. So ETH has even been outperforming this in the cycle, and ETH even made new all-time highs from the last all-time high, while XRP has not. So don't get too excited about this kind of breakout, guys. Just, this is like a trader's market right now. I don't want people getting too, just because somebody posts on Twitter, look, XRP is 52 cents. It's like, come on, relax. When XRP hits $2, then you could start having parties and whatever. But until then, this is a trader's market. If you already built positions and you're in profit, be conservative, de-risk. You heard it from Chief Wolf. If you're somebody who's been trapped in this coin now for a really long time and you're looking to de-risk a little bit, do what is best for you in your financial situation. This is not financial advice, but do what you believe is best for you. Do not get influenced by the influencers. It's very important because this is an influencer-driven retail coin. And until it becomes what it's supposed to be, which is for central banking, we have a ways to go with that. Maybe we're right around the corner, though, with ISO 222 in November. But I just want people to be conservative in the meantime, especially with this project, because every time we have breakouts, it's the same person over and over again that says, I wish I bought down here. Or when it hits our targets and rolls over, they're saying, I wish I sold. Don't be that person. Don't follow the news. Don't follow Twitter. Follow the moon. Trust me on this. Be a wolf. So I am gonna leave this one at this. Tons of information in this video. Please go watch those two videos that I talked about earlier in this, the Super Bowl decoder video and the one about metaverse. Those are full of information I believe will be very profound. So enjoy the rest of your day in the matrix. Much love.